Today I want to start making a journal using a combination of some of my own digital papers, which interestingly I have never done before. If you know my channel, you know that I have an online shop. I have numerous digital kits, which I, until now, pretty much only use in my junk journal planners. So this is the main kit I want to use in this journal, which is called Autumn Muse. And I have used it for my October signature for my planning. If you're interested to see more of my planning videos and how I use the digitals there, or how I use a junk journal planner in general, you can find a playlist linked below. But I have actually never made a junk journal using my own kits. And as I was thinking about how to do this, even after having made journals and planners for over 6 years now, I still feel a bit overwhelmed at the beginning, because where do you even start? So if you are a junk journal beginner, please don't feel alone. As you can see, as someone who has done this for years, I still have similar feelings. So let's do this methodically together. I will show you what I have done so far. So as I mentioned, my main kit for this journal is going to be my Autumn Muse kit. So this is what the pages look like without the calendar parts on them. So my kits are always available as regular backgrounds, like you see here, and as planner pages with the calendar parts to plan your week, your month, etc. I currently print my images on this paper. This is a German brand called Schwarzwaldmühle. The important thing for you is it's 130 GSM. It's for inkjet and it's a matte photo paper. If you want to print on both sides, obviously your paper needs to be printable on both sides. So that's something to look for if you're looking for something similar. It doesn't have to be 130 GSM. I've also used 100 GSM, 140 GSM. So your regular copy paper as a reference is 80 GSM, which would also be fine for journal pages if there was a double-sided matte photo paper in that strength. I would not go over, I would say 140, because then it just gets too stiff and the pages, for my personal taste, are going to be too stiff. But that is totally a personal preference. So I first printed all of my Autumn Muse papers. I always have 14 pages per kit. So this is what they look like. Obviously, I'm going to link them down below. There is also ephemera to go with it, but we're not there yet. We're not worrying about ephemera at this stage. This is one of my very, very favorite pages. So these are, as you can maybe tell, very much inspired by Gustav Klimt, the Austrian painter. Love, love, love this style so much. And then, as you can see here, these are very different. So these two are already from a different kit. These are from my mushroom garden journal pages, but I thought they go really well with my kit. So I will show you now the back sides. So in total, I have used 5 different kits. I will link all of these below for you. For those of you who would like to use the same digital papers I'm using in this journal, I've made it easy. Instead of purchasing the full kits, I've curated a special bundle just for you. It includes all 32 pages you see here, pulled from 5 different kits. You can find the link to this curated kit below the video as always. But obviously, this is not about using the exact same pages that I am. Obviously, you can if you want to. And I just see I forgot to ink up this one edge. That bothers me. I want to share this process with you because maybe you feel overwhelmed as well. And if that's the case, then I hope this video will be helpful for you. So on the back here, you see I have some bubbles. This is from my coffee bubble backgrounds. These are also available in a bluish green instead of the brown. And these are made from actual bubble papers that I made in a video. I will link that video for you below so you could make your own bubble paper if you don't want to just print one. It is a super fun process. You can do this method on any paper ephemera you might have. It's so much fun. So give that a try if you haven't, or if you don't want the mess, then obviously you can just print from this kit. These here are from my Twilight Tales backgrounds. I love these a lot as well. They're very autumnal or wintry. And these here are from my steampunk backgrounds. These are the plain backgrounds. I have two different sets of backgrounds. One set has steampunk animals on them, and this is the plain kit. One of the Twilight pages again. This one is from the steampunk kit. Again, the Twilight, the Mushroom Garden, steampunk, bubbles, steampunk, Mushroom Garden, Twilight, steampunk, Twilight, and bubbles. And honestly, I did not know how well these all go together until I printed them out like this. So just to share again, if we leaf through them like this, I think they're perfect. They are so harmonious together, and I just love it. Usually I would print these full page A4. When I printed the Autumn Muse kit, I, by accident, forgot to say print full page, so I had the annoying white edge around all of my papers. So rather than not using those and printing them again full page, I decided to just print them all that way and to just cut off the white edges. So these are a little smaller than A4. And under one of my videos, I got a comment recently from a lady saying she wished she knew how to print double-sided. I'm assuming she's not the only one. So what I personally do, rather than telling my printer to print double-sided, especially if I'm going to use various kits, this gets very complicated very quickly. So as I said, I first printed all of the Autumn Muse papers on one side, and then I chose the other kits, and then I printed page by page the back sides. With my printer, and I have an Epson EcoTank 5850. I will link that for you from Amazon Germany below in case you want to have a look at that. That is a big printer. You probably don't need a big printer like I have. It has 2 drawers, which is very handy if you use different types of papers a lot, but it's totally not necessary. So for my printer, having a printer drawer to put the paper inside, it comes out of the printer like this, face up. So then when I want to print on the back side, I put the paper back in the drawer exactly as it comes out of the printer. I take it, I leave the print on top, and when it pulls it to print on this side, it turns it and prints on the bottom side. Do you know what I mean? So you need to check how it works with your printer. It might be different, but this is what works with mine. So you might have to experiment a little bit. And that is how I do it. I print then page per page. I put each single page, which is already printed on, in my drawer, choose one specific page I want to print on the back side and print it. So it does take a little bit of time, but this way I get what I want. I don't have to mess around with a lot of different printer settings and then waste paper if it comes out wrong. So next, as you can see, I inked up all of the edges of my papers. I don't usually do that, but since a lot of these pages have dark backgrounds, I really don't like it when the edges are white. When choosing the amount of pages to print, I already had in my mind how many signatures I wanted to make, which was 4. I have 16 papers in total. So each signature is going to get 4 of these pages. And of course, we don't only want to have digital papers in our journal. We want to mix it up with some other fun original papers. So I picked out 3 more or less full-size papers for each signature. So this is German book page. This is a random page from an old photo album I found at Goodwill. Piano paper. And a music sheet that has been written on, not by me. I don't know how to write music. So that's one set. Then we have another set. So old German script, English vintage book page, another English vintage one, and another English vintage one. That's another set. And then we have this beautiful ledger paper, which is rust dyed, which I have received in a Happy Mail. Then we have two original German vintage documents. This is from 1913, and this one is also from 1913, if I see this correctly. Yeah, 1913. These and a few more are available as digital versions as well. And then we have another American vintage ledger paper, which is going to be too long, so I think I'll be folding that a little bit differently. So we have 3 sets of those. And then I also have smaller papers here, so small ledger papers. A random French one from 1923, gorgeous, from an old magazine. A small music sheet, random paper. I think this was an end page of a book. Then we have 2 of these pinkish number papers. And we have this one, which is again from a German vintage book. So that means each signature will get 3 full-size papers and 2 smaller papers. So my next step is to fold all of my papers, and I'm going to take an A5 paper as reference for my size. I don't want anything a lot bigger than this. Usually I could just take one of these as reference, but these are a little bit smaller than A5 when I fold them, since I had to cut the edges off. So I will just use a regular sized A5 paper as a reference. Obviously, if you have other measurements like in North America, then go with whatever is your size for a regular, for example, US letter size paper folded in half. So most of these I can just fold in half. You could use a ruler or a bone folder or just your fingernail to fold these. You don't need fancy tools. I like using my little vintage iron here that I got at, I think, a flea market or a Goodwill. I don't remember. It's been a while. But this is perfect for creasing, and of course it's fun. So use whatever you have. If you have papers from a book that are still connected like this one, always check how torn your spine is. This one I think would still be okay to use, because once you bind them into the journal, you obviously don't want them tearing apart. So if you're unsure if your spine is stable enough, then it's better to tear it and either connect them, preferably with a piece of fabric, or you just use them as smaller papers and fold them individually. Now you don't always have to fold them straight. It's fun to have different shapes. So for example, like this. This one is already folded. Let's just see. Yeah, the width is fine, so that can stay as it is. This one is fine as it is. This one needs to be folded. Again, we'll fold it a bit off. So with this one is very, very wide. The height is fine. So let's fold it like so. And then we can just fold this one in. these we can all just fold in half. They will be a little bigger than my printed pages, but that is totally fine. As you can see, all of these papers are very neutral. I think that will provide a nice contrast to the very colorful digitals, just to calm down the journal a little bit, although of course they're going to get some interest on them as we move on. But I'm not going to overthink that now, what I'm going to add to them. I like working in baby steps. This piano paper is very tricky because if I fold it in half, the spine here where I'm going to sew is not sturdy at all. That is not a good paper choice. So it would be better to use this as one of the small papers. So let's tear this. So I'll exchange these for a couple of the other smaller papers because I think these are very interesting to use. Never used these in my journals. I always loved them, but I never knew how to use them. So let's just use these instead of two of the others that I have chosen. Because folded this way, of course, they are sturdy here in the middle. This one, oh, this is too tall. So let's just cut that down a little bit. And finally we have this book page. I'll trim that down just a little bit as well. So I have all of my papers folded and now I can start compiling the signatures. I will be taking them apart again, but I just want to get a feel for if the number of pages feels like it's enough and if the mixture of these papers and these papers gives me the right feeling for the journal or if I need to add something else before I continue with the next step. So I have 16 of these. So I said 4 of these are going to go into each signatures and we're going to have 4 signatures. I always like figuring out what my very first page of the journal is. Maybe this one. This one would also be super cool. See, this one is the one that I already chose for my October planner cover page, which shows you how much I love it. So maybe for this journal I should use her just to make it a little bit different. So then we'll add one of the more neutral pages. This one I think is perfect because it has like this light blue-green color, which is just perfect together with this here. So then we add another digital. Take this one. We have the mushrooms on the other side. Let's add this one here. Then another digital. Let's take this one. We'll take a book page and a final digital. Let's take one of these mushroom ones. And then we add 2 smaller pieces. So one could be this one, and we can use this for the second one. Let's put that here. So that would be one signature, including the small papers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 pages folded in half per signature. So I will go ahead and put together the other 3 signatures in the same method. So these are my 4 signatures. What I also paid attention to when arranging the digital papers is that the back sides would have a nice variation and that I wouldn't have 2 of the same kits after each other. So there's a nice variation in each signature. But as I said, I'm going to be taking this apart again. So most likely the order would change, although I am very happy with these now. And now I can also feel that this feels right to me. The amount of papers feels right. It's going to be a fairly thick journal from what I can see now, because at the moment, obviously, we haven't added anything else to the pages yet. So let's see how this goes. I'm very excited. It already feels like a real journal, even though I have no idea yet what the cover is going to look like. Usually I make my covers first, but this time I'm trying it the other way around. I would love it if you would join me in making your own journal, whether you use any digitals at all or these or anything else you already have in your stash. It doesn't matter as long as we create something. So I hope to see you back here for the next episode where we'll be decorating the pages, and we'll see how far we get, maybe already choosing some materials to also make some page decorations with. Love you guys.
Mwah, mwah.